Chapter 2: The First Spark is a Lie. Only 5 to 7% of people are actually attracted to peace, to compatibility, to real resonance. The rest are just trying to escape the frying pan by jumping into the fire, because the fire feels like home. Not because it's healthy, not because it's love, because it's familiar. Most people's first experience of attraction isn't resonance, it's reenactment. It's their nervous system lighting up around someone who mirrors their earliest wound and their body calling it chemistry. They say things like, I can't help what I'm attracted to. But that's a lie we tell to protect our pain from being questioned. The truth is simpler and harder. Attraction isn't sacred, it's trained. And most of that training happened before we ever had language for it. Until that pattern is seen, examined, and healed, people will keep reaching for the same wound and calling it love. Most attraction has very little to do with the person in front of you. It has everything to do with what your nervous system recognizes. The loop that whispers, this feels like home, even when home was chaos, silence, inconsistency, or emotional absence. You can dress it up however you want. You can call it fate, you can call it chemistry, you can call it God's will, or say the heart wants what it wants. But none of that makes it true, because the spark you feel is often a glitch, not a sign. It's your body lighting up, not because this person is right for you, but because your wounds recognize theirs. Because your trauma recognizes their particular flavor of distance, volatility, aloofness, or emotional withholding. And instead of pausing to examine that signal, most people chase it. They romanticize it. They sanctify it. They write poems about it. They pray over it. They call it destiny. But it isn't destiny. It's pattern. Attraction isn't an oracle. It's programming. And until you deprogram it, you'll keep falling for people who feel like home, when home was never safe to begin with. Put plainly, if you grew up feeling ignored, inconsistent attention will feel magnetic. If you learned that love had to be earned, you'll be pulled toward people who make you prove your worth. If your caretakers were emotionally unavailable, you'll crave people who give you just enough to stay hopeful, but never enough to feel secure. And you'll call that tension romance. You'll call the ache desire. You'll confuse emotional adrenaline with passion, and you'll suffer. Over and over again, your body will light up for people who cannot meet you. Not because you're broken, not because you're unworthy, but because you were trained, slowly, quietly, to reach for what burns. So when someone steady shows up, someone clear, someone available, someone who doesn't spike your nervous system, you'll say things like, I'm just not attracted to them. Or, they're great on paper, but I don't feel the spark. As if the spark were some holy compass. It's not. More often than not, the spark is your nervous system saying, this person matches my pain. And the delusion runs deep. Even some of the most devout, spiritually committed people will defend a trauma bond as if it came straight from heaven. They'll say, God gave me peace about this, when what they really mean is, this feels familiar. Or they'll say, God hasn't given me peace yet, as a way to justify pulling away from a connection that might actually be safe, because their nervous system doesn't know how to interpret peace. Peace doesn't spike, it doesn't burn, it doesn't destabilize, and to an unhealed system that feels wrong, flat, boring, unreal. Most people aren't attracted to peace because they haven't learned how to recognize it as love. They mistake regulation for boredom, stability for lack of chemistry. They want someone who makes their heart race, but not someone who can hold their heart when the race is over. That's why people walk away from healthy potential, not because it's wrong, but because it doesn't match the pain they still call love. Here's the hard truth, stated cleanly. If you say, I can't help what I'm attracted to, you're not entirely wrong. But what you're really saying is, I haven't healed enough yet to recognize safety as desire. That's not condemnation, that's clarity. And here's the other side of it, because this matters just as much. Attraction can change. Once you heal, once you stop assigning meaning to ache, your body starts responding differently. You stop lighting up for unavailability. You stop craving people who make you chase. You stop confusing silence with mystery and distance with depth. The spark still comes, but it doesn't feel like a firestorm. It feels like clarity, like calm, like something familiar in a new way. Not because it matches your pain, but because it speaks a language your nervous system finally understands. Attraction isn't fixed, it's shaped, it's trained, and it can be retrained. You can learn to want what won't destroy you. You can learn to desire what doesn't destabilize you. You can learn to walk towards someone steady and still feel fire, just not the kind that burns your nervous system to ash. But first, you have to stop worshiping the spark. You have to stop defending the loop. You have to stop confusing familiar ache for love. Because if you don't, you'll spend your life chasing chemistry and calling it fate, when all it really is the echo of the first time you were unseen.